Hello, everyone. Happy to welcome you all to our Dubai Tech Talks, the podcast series of the inspiring stories of success, where we share journeys of innovation, resilience, and achievements. Tune in for the insights from leaders shaping the future of tech. Today, glad to introduce and invite our entrepreneur of the day, Biji Tharakan Thomas, called as BT by all of us. Biji Tharakan Thomas is a digital transformation champion, angel investor, and SEG enthusiast based in Dubai, UAE. With over 20 years of experience in oil and gas, petrochemical, and power generation sector, Biji has held key roles at many companies. He is also advisor for many companies. He co-founded Bets Life. So let's welcome Biji to introduce to ourselves. And the first question for you is, what inspired you to take the leap into entrepreneurship and co-found your own startup? What was there a defining moment or a vision that drove you?
Hi, Sridevi. First of all, thank you for the very warm welcome, and I wish you all the success in the series of such interviews which you are about to start and about to do. Thank you for inviting me, and I would love to share my thoughts about the questions what you asked. Entrepreneurship is something which you doesn't decide one fine day morning. It's very difficult to do that way. It has to be something which you will have it in your mind, and you will always be watching and seeing other people and always thinking, oh, I should be doing something like this. Why can't I do it in my way? There is a better way to do this. And in the natural progression of life, as soon as you finish your education, you usually won't start. In those days when I finished my college, for example, 25, 30 years back, you don't start companies. And there was
Exactly.
no term called startup during that time. So usually you look for employment because employment gives you instant money, gives you respect, gives you a stepping stone to a career path which you will pursue as you go forward. But in my case, as soon as I finished my engineering, we started our own startup with a group of friends. At that time, of course, because there was no job easily available, and we started with computerization, making assembled computers, converting manual typewriters to electronic, fixing the STD, PCO booths, small stuff during those days. And we did for like 1.5 years, and then I got employment and I left to Bangalore and then to Mumbai. Then I went to Kuwait and now I'm in Dubai. So I've been working in small private companies, then public sector, state government companies, and then with private companies in Kuwait, and then with American companies, eventually with GE, and then later with a Swiss company called Megit. So I worked in small, big, large MNC companies. Most of my career, 15 years, was in one company, which is GE, General Electric Company. I would say that GE has shaped me. And every time when I move companies and I move jobs and when things change, you always think, is this the right thing which I'm doing, or should I be doing something else? When you find there is a challenge or an opportunity or a better way to do things, then you would say, oh, I would do this differently in my own company. So you always have that inside you, even if you don't say or you don't start. And as you said, there is a defining moment, right? And it may not be one moment, it could be a combination of multiple things. In my case, it was during Corona that we started Betsa. Uh, we started as Betser Life Private Limited, registered in India, because India was and is a huge market. And we started with a tele visit to doctors because during Corona, people could not go to hospitals. And we said, okay, why don't we connect people remotely so that they can book and consult the doctors? That's how we started. Of course, the instigation of starting this is there was a need during Corona, but at the same time, we always wanted to start with a simple idea, simplest of the idea. So this is a very simple idea. One side there is doctor, one side there is a patient who wants to talk to the doctor, but you need a system to connect them, a system to book, pay, consult in audio, video, transfer documents, download prescription, etc. So it's a very simple idea, and then we started. And one of my friends who was in US, he was also a very instrumental part of this starting of the business. So three of us, me, my wife, Jean John, who is a co-founder, and my friend Jay Mohan, we started this venture. We first thought of starting it like a joke or helping people, not very seriously. But once we stepped into it, we found it very, very challenging, and then it became very, very interesting space. So there was no one defining moment, but it's a culmination of so many things. So the entrepreneurial seed within you grows over time and is always looking for the right opportunity. And sometime what happens is multiple things happen in your life so that you will say, oh, done with it. Like I'm going to plunge into it because you know that once you step in, there is no going back, right? It's like jumping into an ocean. Immediately, I also realized that uh, I had a kind of feeling in my mind that I'm experienced and I can run the business. But as soon as I started, I realized that I know only very small piece of this big puzzle which I'm getting into. There are a lot of different functions in the business which has to orchestrate in a particular way for it to be successful. And I suddenly started learning so many things, and it's very exciting. And I'm very happy that I did that step.
Thank you for your big explanation. So you are not like started an entrepreneurship after your experience, but you have started earlier. Then you got into your experience, and you have a huge experience in different industries and different country cultures and stuffs like that. So I think this helps you out in your startup also. And you have elaborated a little. And can we know more? Like, tell us about more about your startup. What is the exact problem does it solve, and what sets it apart in the industry?
Yeah. So before I go to answer the question, when you mentioned about your remarks about experience, yes, I have experience in India, in Kuwait, and I worked in a US company, so traveled many times to US. Then I worked in Swiss company. I traveled many times to Switzerland, and I kind of understand this kind of culture in all these big companies. I worked in a government establishment for 4.5 years, so I know how the government works. Um, Having said that, having this kind of experience and multi geography experience is not enough to make the business successful.
Right.
Uh, so still feel that you're a student, right? And you should be having that feeling because it's learning every day.
Exactly.
Uh,
You said it right. Every day is a learning. Every moment is a learning in business, not only in business, in life.
Correct, correct. So having that open attitude to learn and being curious and being humble about things which we don't know is, I think, one of the greatest assets an entrepreneur can have. Because if you, the moment you say, I have figured it out, then probably it is the start of the, demise of your venture. So I believe that times are changing so faster than before. I also want to add one more point is that not only that I started a small venture very early in my career, but during the working life, I invested in so many startups. I mean, I don't want to call them as startups. I would say in businesses, enterprises, ventures, and not big amounts, but even small amounts. I have taken those risks and I found how those companies are struggling, why they are failing, and I did not make a lot of money out of those any of those investments, but it was a big, big learning experience. And I did invest in companies in India and in outside India as well. So I have some kind of a, what do you call, deep consideration to people who really go against the tide and start something. I have great respect for people who start something of their own. So anybody who come to me and say, "Oh, I'm starting this. I want your help," most likely I will be fully willing to help them. Most of the time, it is pro bono, And sometimes even I want to encourage them by investing money, because there is a deep thing in my mind about ventures and startups, even though I'm not coming from a family of business people. But I have this, I understand how the world works, and how I understand what is the impact of all the small enterprises doing in the world. So coming back to your question, I have multiple investments even now in various ventures, but at the moment I'm specifically focusing on Betser, Betser Life Private Limited, BETSER. Actually, the word is coined with better services. That's why it's called Betser. Because we always think there is opportunity to improvement. And when you go to India, for example, you will find that customer service or service aspect is not very much available there, except for hospitality industry, or in five-star hotels you get a very good service. But everywhere else it's more like, this is how it is, if you want you accept it, otherwise thank you very much attitude. And especially in healthcare, we found out that there's a lot of demand for services, and there are a lot of facilities offering the services. They both of them wants to improve, but even in spite of that, there is a huge amount of challenges there, right? So the important challenges, one is called trust, that you don't know whom you can trust. Second thing is about the time, the delay in accessing a service. Third thing is about transparency of cost or the risk which you are getting into. And distance, like people started traveling. So I could have a family doctor from a very young age, but once I am youth and I'm employed, I moved out of from Kerala to Bangalore to Mumbai to Kuwait, and then to here, and then traveled everywhere. So I want to be in touch with my family doctor because he knows history, my of couple of generations before me, and the whole contextual background. It's very easy for him to help me out. But because of distance, it is not possible. So you go to multiple places, and your health records are scattered in so many places. And every time a new doctor will see you and treat you on a symptomatic basis. So we thought there is a huge potential to help in healthcare. And also, we found that there's a huge gap in terms of access to healthcare, not only within India or not only within rural areas and cities in India, but also internationally. So there's huge waiting time for specialists access in US, in Canada, in UK, in Australia. And sometimes even certain services are not even available in provided by the healthcare system. Of course, I respect that healthcare systems are different in different parts of the world. It's mostly private and insurance driven in the US and in UAE, and mostly it is government and public health driven in the UK, in Canada, and Australia, and a mix of that in many other countries as well. So definitely there were major problems in healthcare, and there were gaps in healthcare. Even though we started as a televisit platform, now Betser has evolved into a health services aggregator, a single door to access a variety of healthcare services in India by global Indians. So, primarily at the moment, we are more focused on Indians who are away from India, but they want to deliver services in India for their parents. So, that is where Betser is currently positioned. Now, typical services, what they're looking for is, of course, remote access to doctors, but also in person visit by doctors to home, uh, collecting blood from home and taking a lab report and getting a result, getting medicine replenishment at home, getting a physiotherapist at home, or somebody to take parents to a hospital, uh, or getting a nurse at home, and sometimes even procedures or admissions at hospital. So they need some kind of hand holding in all this, because every time when they go, they're asked to wait and wait and wait, and then they will get limited information.
And not
So
only
Betser
that,
is
actually, people like us who stay abroad and the parents are back in India. So we also are benefited through these services because we do cannot trust on everyone and anyone to ask help, and everyone has their own commitments and require other works. So we cannot rely on someone. So this service can help people like us who are in abroad and back home the parents are there. So the service is really good.
Yes. So we have now advisory board mostly comprising of doctors, uh, across the globe. Most of our doctors from US, UK, Australia, India, UAE, Kuwait, Oman, etc. on our advisory board. But all the doctors which we have on the panel, we have now around 250 plus doctors, are all Medical Council of India registered. That is a mandatory requirement by Government of India. And we are signing up with big chains of hospitals, pharmacies, labs, and other health services companies or home care companies as well. Even though we started from Kerala, then moved to Chennai, then to Bangalore, then Hyderabad, now Mumbai, we are now tying up with Max Group of hospitals in the north of India. So we are currently becoming pan India healthcare service provider for global Indians, primarily for delivering service to the parents and also for expert second opinions for them. So that's a business. How are we different from other people in this industry? There are major players in this. Like in any other business, when you start a business, you'll see that, oh, there are many others who are doing similar things. And Betzer's commitment is um, compassionate care and having vetted and qualified doctors and healthcare service providers, top tier. So, for example, we have US, UK board certified doctors, DHA certified doctors, but they're also certified by Medical Council of India, and they are personally vetted by us. We have one-on-one meetings with them. We, even if it is a hospital or a facility, we'll see whether they are JC accredited or NABH accreditation or NABL, or depending upon the facility, different kind of accreditations. We check their reputation. If possible, we'll visit them, or we send some of our representatives there to check. So it's we actually add another layer of trust certificate. Second thing, our service includes reducing your waiting time. So once we commit certain time, then there is no waiting time from that committed time. And we will always try to be a concierge service to improve the experience of the patients or the parents who is seeking the services. So compassionate care, vetted, verified professionals, and also speed to service, and also, even though we are not the cheapest priced facility, but we are our prices are very optimal, uh, much lesser than the prices across the world, slightly higher than the prices in India, but we have the best Indian doctors and facilities there. We are very transparent. Price transparency is another advantage. We are very transparent with our service charges. So we will clearly tell them that these are the charges of the doctors, these are the better service charges. Our service charges are very less compared to the value which we are providing to our users. And now we are trying to make all these interactions as seamless and smooth as possible with respect to utilizing the appropriate technology. So that's where we are.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your detailed explanation of the service which you provide. And lastly, what advice would you offer to aspiring entrepreneurs, especially those who are starting their journey? And nowadays we see kids who are in school and colleges also traveling their journey towards entrepreneurship. So, any key lessons you are learned along the way? Anything which you would like to share? A few
Absolutely.
tips.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing is that always, as an aspiring and entrepreneur, first you will get an idea. And this idea, you will think it is a great idea. And first thing is to validate that idea. Go about and talk to some people and say, I have this idea. Don't keep this idea within your head and say, oh, if I share this with someone, someone will steal the idea. That is never going to happen because ideas are there everywhere. But it's about, you are not talking to someone who's going to steal the idea. You're going to talk to someone who will be actual beneficiary of that service. Okay, and say that, oh, Sridevi, I have such a service. If I have such a service, would you take that service?
Mm.
So that is the first question, because you have to answer this question of value. What exactly is the value which I'm going to add? For example, in the case of Betser, right? If it is just connecting a doctor to a patient, there is no big value we are able to add, right? So
Right.
you will not be able to sustain in that kind of a simply connecting to people. But if you are able to add something to it, saying that, oh, can I know what exactly are the challenges which you are going through now? Okay, wait time is a challenge. Not knowing whom to go is a challenge. Transparency of pricing is a challenge. Not having a record, a system where everything is recorded is a challenge, right? So if I can solve those challenges along with connecting, then I'm adding value, right?
Yeah.
So the first example, what I want to say is that everybody should be thinking of how exactly am I or my business or this idea going to add value to the potential beneficiaries of that business. So this value question has to be answered number one. And you have to validate it by immediately talking to potential people who would be such beneficiary of such services.
Mm.
So if you speak to 10 people and all the 10 of them says, yes, I would definitely use such a service if available. And then you would say, okay, if such a service is available and if you would use such a services, and if that service is going to give you this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what would you pay for such a service? Right?
Mm.
These are very, very simple things, seemingly very simple things, but these are the first steps which you should do. Number two, once you have this, second thing is that you need to have some clarity. And for having the clarity about your business, you need to use a tool called Business Model Canvas, which is from Strategizer. You have to really understand. Don't just fill those 9 columns for the sake of filling. Yes, 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 I have a business model canvas. No, really, really understand what is the purpose of this. There is a sequence in which you have to fill it. There's an interconnection of those in the business model canvas. Business model canvas is a fantastic tool for all entrepreneurs. Without spending one dirham or $1, they can get big clarity about their idea. Who exactly are their customers? What kind of relationship we are going to have with this customer? Am I going to meet with them directly or through channels? What exactly is the value which I'm going to add to them? Is there anything unique for me? Why should someone choose your service when many such services are available? To deliver that value to those customers, what kind of activities I should do daily? And for doing those activities, what kind of resources I should have in terms of money, resources, people, technology, etc. And am I going to have all of this, or am I going to outsource some of those? Which are those? And for doing all this and delivering value, what kind of cost which I'm going to incur? And what kind of revenues I'm going to get, so that you will come to some idea of unit economics. Okay, for one consultation, I would charge this as per market price, and I would share this with our consultants. This will be our margin, and that I'm going to use it. So you kind of tweak and get clarity. All of this without spending first dollar, right?
Right.
So that is step number one. I mean, step number two. After identifying the value, step number two is business model canvas, right? And step number three is, what are those first steps which I should accomplish? Maybe I want to find the first customer who will pay 1,000 dirhams or 100 dirhams for that service. The first customer. That is the goal. If that is the goal, then you should do whatever least minimum required to get that goal, right? Don't
Mm.
start thinking about, I will open office in here, I will hire people, I will do this, I will do big branding. No, no, no. This is different. This is validating. If not even one person is willing to pay, then you don't need to step into that business. If one person is willing to pay, then you can go to the next step, right? And that person preferably has to be someone, or you have to continue that until someone not knowing you personally is taking that service, by the pure virtue of that service available and the value which is providing, right?
Right.
So this three key things: the value, the clarity of where you're going and what is your first two, three steps. And third is stay focused on those things to accomplish those. I have recently written a LinkedIn article about these three things: the value, the clarity, and the focus. This is a fundamental to excellence in our professional life as well as in business. There are a lot of other things which I want to share, but time does
Yeah.
not permit here for a detailed discussion. But I think the listeners of Sri Devi's series would value this as a first step in their entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, thank you for sharing a detailed points and experience and insights from you. We also have a series for technology professionals who share their knowledges for the audience. Maybe we can invite you over there. You can share your views and insights over there in a detailed way. And thank you for your time. And we are very happy to have you today and talk to you. And we also got to know a lot of available solutions which are there in the medical field from you. Thank you for joining once again. Meet you
My
next time.
pleasure. I'm looking forward for future sessions when and where such opportunities arise, so that we can have the next set of series of this.
Exactly. Thank you.
All right. Have a great day, Sridevi.